to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
And Dale Hummel.
Here's the deal.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
I just don't know where to start, Ryan, after our brief conversation.
You think I make this shit up? This is what comes across my phones.
Okay, let's just start with that. I made the comment to Ryan that Newsom appointed a senator. I said, I think that's all I said.
No, I said Newsom appointed a black queer advocate to fill Dianne Feinstein's Senate seat. And you went insane.
Those two adjectives were necessary in describing.
They are not my words. That is the notification from CNN. They did not even have the lady's name or that she was a female. It was black queer advocate.
I saw Fox News and it had the lady's name. I just cannot remember it.
I'm just telling you.
It said nothing.
Do you think queer advocate is in my vocabulary naturally?
I do not know. I just don't know.
You literally don't even think I'm gay.
No, you're something else. I'm not.
So yeah, queer advocate just rolls off my tongue all the time.
Okay, so was this person on our radar at all?
No. The people on the radar were the three people that are in the Democratic primary race. Camel Toe. There was a conspiracy theory that Camel Toe was going to accept it. Oprah Winfrey and Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle. I thought she was in Washington with Mike.
She was there trying to get the Senate seat.
No, on the Suits show.
Yes. But she was also just in Washington putting her name in that.
Got it. Okay, well, let's talk about I had Fox.
And also the person that got this Senate seat actually lives in Maryland, not California.
I heard something about that we have
but it's fine.
To do some paperwork to make it legal.
It's fine. LaFonza Butler is her name.
Black queer is easier to remember. In the background today, New York versus Trump civil suit.
I didn't.
Donald, the Donald is angry.
Yeah, you don't get to call him that because you don't like him. You like your boy Ronnie D.
What I find entertaining, so New York values Mar-a-Lago property at $18 million. Trump comes out and says it's as high as $1.5 billion.
I would be closer to way closer to the 1.5 billion than the 18.
But why would he say 1.5? Just say 500 million or whatever he wrote down on the tax thing. I know if you were to pull up all
half the golf course is more than 18 million.
No, I agree. It's way higher than that. It probably is. And I don't know what I doubt that it's 1.5 billion, but it doesn't.
It's closer to 1.5 billion than it is.
Okay. Let's look at the practical side. If you were to pull up all the business loan documentation in the state of New York or New York City or whatever they're talking about and attempted to sort out the true value of assets that were written down as collateral, particularly real estate, you'd have thousands to question. And that's not going to happen. So that this property, the only way I can assess a value is what is somebody willing to pay for it. And you know what? It could be 1.5 billion. Yeah, it could be.
That is the point. The true value of anything is what someone will give you the money for.
We really can't even assess it. It's.
You can have it appraised, and Donald can say it's 1.5 billion, and this idiot judge can say it's 200,000. The real value of anything is what someone will pay you for it.
So there is no question. This is politically motivated. Period. And that crazy district attorney, she's the one. And again, I'm not going to use adjectives, but other than crazy, but she did run on the fact that she was campaigning. I will get Trump. Yes. I am going to prosecute Trump. Yes. Apparently very popular in that area.
Oh, it's again. I mean, he lived in New York his whole life and he moved.
So this sends a signal to every conservative doing business in New York. You are a target. It is not going down a good path. I don't believe. It appears as though Trump is accepted. Obviously, the judge has already ruled. They're just determining a penalty. He's accepted, and he's throwing darts back at him that district attorney's racist. The judge is a fraud. All kinds. He's not helping his sentence by any means. But what I do believe, he's being very intelligent about helping his political campaign, because every time something like this happens, he bumps up in the polls, and he is reaching way out there this time and swinging for a home run in terms of populist popularity. And I believe it will work.
People are going to say I'm crazy, and we all know I am, and that's fine. He is running the best campaign he has ever ran. It's not even close. And what should be easily the worst, most trying, he is running the best campaign he has ever ran. He is not bashing people nearly as much. He's not going crazy on Truth and Twitter, all this stuff. He is running because, again, everyone's doing the work for him.
Yes, and he got a little crazy today, but relatively speaking, he didn't use biggest, greatly, most, best, every. He didn't use those words quite as much as usual.
And then also today, the Supreme Court rejected the case trying to get Trump kicked off the ballot in 2024 because there's some loophole in some amendment that he led an insurrection or whatever, and they said no, he's on the ballot. Bye-bye. Which, of course, Dale doesn't believe things can be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, but this just proves him wrong.
I was referring, you cannot get all his indictments through the Supreme Court before the election, and that will not happen. So technically, he could be sitting in jail as the current president of the United States, theoretically. And that sets it up. Would he not appoint Joe Exotic then for VP?
No, he is not going to appoint Joe Exotic for VP. He already said his VP is not on the debate stage. So you can rule out your boy Ronnie D winning.
You can take Viagra's no longer in the hunt for VP. He was sucking up for it, I thought.
Yeah, well, he's out. And after his debate performance, he should just quit.
So while we're on the debate, Christie was better, but he was dead to voters after the first one. But
it doesn't matter.
How about the fact that Haley was good, but cold?
Okay, we talked about this, and I'm going to say it out loud. I don't think this is right. I don't think it is just, but it is. There is a double standard for women in all industries. If you are successful, driven, and determined and don't take shit, you're a bitch. If you go the other way, you're too soft and can't be a leader. It's bullshit. She did perfectly fine, had the best answers, other than your idiot Burgum, who, again, only got to answer 3 questions, but did very well on those 3. She was the best one, and she did come across cold. I'm not saying she didn't. There was a little bit of a scowl on her face. Not saying she didn't.
Again, it doesn't affect. I thought it actually probably helps me. It tells me that she's tough enough for the job. But with the populace, you're right. It probably doesn't play well.
No, it didn't. And again, she's gonna suffer. All this did for your boyfriend Ronnie D was stop the bleeding, because you don't even want to know how bad he was getting in the polls. Like he was not even
to tell you what he said.
He's not going to get a bump, but he's going to stop the bleeding.
What he said. He is sending our military into Mexico to kill the drug cartel.
I hate to tell you, he's not, because he's not going to win the Republican primary.
If he does win the Republican primary.
He also said Trump was the reason we have inflation.
Trump spent more money during COVID than maybe he should have, but none of us knew what was to come.
COVID was a long freaking time ago, sir.
Yes, but that is what the inflation is a result.
It was not Trump's fault.
It is a result of all the overspending during COVID, and
so all that money going to Ukraine, that's not part of it.
I don't think it's near the part that the money's spending Jesus here Christ, at home.
I'm not even going to argue with you. Why don't you just move in with him?
Explain the economics
and kick his wife out of his bed, and then you can sleep by your favorite boyfriend every
money to Ukraine is not causing the inflation here. The money that all went here into the bank accounts and was being spent is what caused inflation in the United States. We should not overspend, period, and increase our debt. But there is no question inflation stems from the overspending during COVID.
Okay, I'm done with you and Ronnie D. I have not got to watch.
You didn't say anything about your buddy Tim Scott.
He sucks.
Yeah, he's just he can't put.
He's a nice guy, but he sucks.
Yeah, but I like him.
Oh, and the one other thing on the debate stage, and I'm just going to say this, and all you people can disagree. My point was proven brilliantly at the end when they asked every single one of them up there. They said, if At the current rate right now, Trump is going to win the Republican nomination unless many of you get out and make it a smaller person race where there are less options. Who would you vote off the island? And your boy was the first one to say, that's not a fair question. None of them have a backbone or a spine. Not a damn one of them.
Christie wrote somebody down.
Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Did you not see that?
He did? He wrote Trump.
Yes.
Trump was not an option. They said, which ones on the debate stage?
And Christie nicknamed Trump as well.
Oh my God. What is your obsession with fat ass this week? Seriously.
I found him entertaining it during the debate.
Oh my God. Like,
not a viable candidate, but entertaining.
Anyway, it just proves none of them have a spine and they don't have what it takes when the heat's on them. If they couldn't pick one person on that stage to say this one needs to go first, whatever. No. But moving on. So Hunter Biden there is documentation that reveals he bought prostitutes from a sex trafficking ring in Eastern Europe.
This should not surprise any of us.
This came out 4 hours ago.
They have documentation like
yes.
records.
Yes. Treasury documents.
I don't believe that directly implicates his father.
No, but I was going to ask you, since I didn't get to watch any of the impeachment inquiry, did you get to? Because I thought you
did. I did, but after a couple of days, I forget a lot of that stuff.
Oh, so you don't remember.
I do. I did watch it. It was, to me, I can summarize it. You have the Republicans and Democrats obviously fighting against each other in this, and you bring in a couple witnesses, constitutional lawyers, whatever you want to call them. And the Republicans would get up there, and I don't think I have to explain this. I'm biased, obviously very conservative, but the Republicans would get up and they would show the bank records and spell out A, B, C, and D, and how there's X amount of shell companies for the Biden family and how they have no true product to sell other than influence. And there's millions of dollars flowing in from Russia, Ukraine, China, and the bank records prove these wire transfers were made. Joe goes out on camera and talks about getting the prosecutor in Ukraine fired, or we don't send them aid from the U.S. Just things that are black and white, very clear. And the Democrats will rebuttal is, well, you have no evidence. Show us evidence that he did something wrong. The records are there. Joe's on tape talking about getting that prosecutor fired. There's piles and piles of evidence, and the Democrats keep standing up and pretending like there's nothing. I don't understand.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But again, like I've said before, that's just all the court of opinion anyway. So
if the populace can't, the problem is they'll get whatever's fed to them through the mainstream media. But if they would take 2 minutes to research the impeachment hearing and look at any evidence, if the populace of the United States is not intelligent enough to see that influence was being sold, we're in worse shape than I thought.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but it's a thing. It's a very, very, very sad situation that we're in.
Do you want to tell the listeners where you're judging tomorrow?
In Roswell. And I'm not going there tonight. I'm not staying in Roswell. I'm not doing any of the alien bullshit that you want me to do. I am driving to the show tomorrow, and I am driving back, and I am going to try desperately to fly out tomorrow. It may not happen, but I'm going to try desperately because our state fair is going on. But
may I make a plea to those listeners in Stephenville, Texas?
Oh my God, would you stop?
Ryan and I will be there in the near future.
No.
We will be interviewing people in Stevensville from a 2008 UFO sighting.
You need medication.
If anybody in Stevensville knows of those people that were witnesses, there's over 300 witnesses from 2008 on a UFO sighting that we need to dig into a little bit. Please contact Ryan or myself.
Do not contact me. Do not contact me.
Yes, please.
Do not. Contact Dale. Do not contact me.
Is that it for current events?
I promise you I will not respond. What?
Anything else in the current event cap?
Yes, there is something else in the current event. RFK is now going to run as a third-party candidate.
It's not confirmed, I don't believe.
October. Yeah, He just
I
announced
just heard.
October 9th.
I just heard on the news that many times that he's contemplating it, but he has not formally committed to it. I believe you are correct that he is.
All of his staffers have formally committed to it.
And we have argued with our producer Clifton who this is going to help and who this is going to hurt, and we do not agree. Is what it ended up as.
And then the only other bit of current events that I would like to say I will very much appreciate. I've had multiple managers or superintendents of very large shows contact me since the last episode to talk about unethical practices, what can be done to prevent it, all those other things. And so I greatly appreciate that people that have that kind of power are listening and they are as concerned as we are. So I appreciate them for reaching out and trying to tackle this problem head on.
Absolutely. Greatly appreciated. It's time for BTR JLA news.
Yes. And top 10 novice cattle. First, Branson Campa of Arizona. Second, Alexandria Larson, Arizona. Third, Riley Purvis, Mississippi. Fourth, Maggie Sauter, Ohio. Fifth, Blakely Story, Illinois. Look, Dale, somebody from your state. Sixth, Emerson Jones, California. Seventh, Billy Smith, California. Eighth, Lola Fuller, Idaho. Ninth, Scarlett Vance, Texas. And 10th, Abigail Medford from Oklahoma. So that is your top 10 in the nation in the novice cattle standings. I would like to thank Leonard Truck and Trailer for their loyal, faithful, and overwhelming sponsorship of the BTR JLA the past 2 years. At Leonard Truck and Trailer, we are dedicated to providing the best service, selection, and value. Our efforts are focused on meeting and exceeding our customers' expectations every day because we know that our continued success relies on our ability to satisfy every single customer. We are committed to being your one-stop trailer source with the largest selection of trailers in the nation, in-house warranty department, comprehensive parts and service department. It is apparent why we have proven ourselves to be the only place you'll ever need to shop for a trailer. Thank you, Clint Leonard family, Leonard Truck and Trailers, for being the biggest BTR JLA sponsor the past 2 years. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. And today's podcast is brought to you by ShowFresh H2O. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give ShowFresh H2O a try. Why would you not want to increase water intake? ShowFresh H2O can be purchased at your local farm store, supply trailer, and at swampfox.com.
Oh, one other little BTR JLA membership for 2024 is now open. Go to www.btrjla.com and sign up for 2024. Do it now because I can't tell you how many people in the middle of January or the middle of February, we didn't sign up and we just went to a show. I cannot allow you to get your points until you sign up. So sign up now so you're ready to go January 1st of 2024.
And while we're on BTR JLA, if you're a BTR JLA member near Stevensville, Texas, and you know some of these people that were witnesses to the UFO, I will give you 50 points, bonus points.
He has not given you shit. He doesn't even have access to the points program.
Oh, so we could at least pretend to get some calls. Today's topic, post-Rona state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Great title, Ryan. Great title.
Thank you.
And we talked about this once recently after Rona.
So this is just where I'm at. When we were all shut down and there were no shows and then there were very few shows and most of the majors couldn't happen, most of the national shows couldn't happen, all those things. I thought, and I was wrong, but I thought, see, I don't have a problem admitting when I'm wrong, unlike Dale, but I thought that when everything came back in terms of the livestock show industry, that since we had been shut down, we had been limited, we had to make all these concessions in terms of wearing masks, all this stuff, you name it, we did it. I thought when everything got back to normal, that we would be so grateful and so appreciative and so happy to be at livestock shows and be back doing what we loved and doing it the way that we always have. And I was flat ass wrong.
Yeah. How did that work out long term?
It did not.
I think it worked. I think several months once we got back to showing, there was some appreciation for a few months.
It's gone.
It is. We're no better, if not worse than we were.
We're worse. And a lot of times I get people that comment to me and, y'all are hard on shows and stuff like that. And I don't think we're hard on shows. I think that we are the only people that actually bring up and talk about what needs to be changed at shows. So that makes us look like we are negative or hard on shows and show management. And that is really not the case. We want things to be better for exhibitors. We believe you have to change, you have to evolve. But so this episode here, I'm going to be hard on you exhibitors and parents and families and all this stuff because your attitude needs to be a little better. Because like Dale said, we are worse than we were before. And I think we often forget at times that it doesn't matter what level of show. But the large majority of the people that are involved in putting on and running the show, those are volunteers. They are not paid. And we forget that. And we just, our attitude's bad. You yell at interns, all these things. These people are volunteers that want to be there to help you and your family have a place to show and make it as stress-free and good experience as possible. And we are not nice. We just aren't. And we need to be better.
And things aren't always perfect. And I understand it irritates people. But if we all were a little more patient and didn't worry about having this exact pin or this exact tax base or so many things, and just realize the fact, as Ryan put it out there, there's very few people being paid to put on shows. The bulk of those people are actually volunteers doing it so the show can happen. And we have to appreciate that. It's not always going to be perfect. Do we want it to be perfect? Yes, but it's not always going to be that way. And Ryan, when COVID was going on and those first few shows came out, I believe we highlighted just how great it was and how excited the show families were to get out and how appreciative they were. I guess to me, if I just try to condense it down, just go back to right after COVID when we were allowed to go. I mean, we were showing in tents and backyards. We were making it work, and it was probably the most friendly environment there's ever been.
Well, I can remember that very first show in Colorado that I got to judge after Rona shut everything down. I mean, I massive numbers of people and animals in a field, 2 tents, 50 feet from this guy's back door of his house, and 2 circus tents and a little prop up microphone. And I had never seen people so happy to be at a show. Came pouring down, monsoon rain. Had no microphone. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. We're just happy. Just happy to get to be at a show. Great? And I just really thought that I knew it wouldn't stay that way forever, but I thought there would at least be some goodwill left and we would be better than we were before. And we're just not. We are grumpier. We are angrier. We are testier. We are all of these things. And again, what I see it, you wouldn't think that a judge sees those things, but a judge does, because people come up to the announcer stand, they complain or they say stuff to you or whatever, all this other stuff. And if I put a number to the number of people I hear gripe, complain, or bitch anytime I judge a show versus the number of people that said, thank you, or man, y'all did a good job at this, or whatever, y'all would lose your mind.
Yeah, not talking just about the judge, but the people running.
No, I'm talking about not the judge. I'm talking about the show. Not me. I'm talking about the show and the people that run the show. My mother ran some of the biggest jackpot shows in Texas for 40-something years. And thank you was not something you ever heard. And it fathoms me that we almost lost all of this. And it was real that we almost lost all this. And it took a while to come back. And it is we're still in the process of getting our numbers back up and all of those things. And yet we're just not, we're just mean. That's all I can.
You know what would be huge? And again, maybe there's some shows that are run so poorly that it's just hard, but at least come up, and I appreciate you putting the time in. Not that you did a great job or anything like that, but most shows are run pretty well. And just think, Ryan, wouldn't it be just staggering if half of the exhibitors, not all the families, half the families after the show came up and thanked those in the ring or the people at the front desk or the superintendent, whatever it is, if half of them, wouldn't that make a statement? So every other show you go to, if you can go up and thank those people that put it on, that would be overwhelming. I think it would make a difference.
I think it would too. And again, if you've never ran a show or been involved in running a show, I don't care what size the show is, but you think that people just throw this together in a month or whatever, all this other stuff. It's a year-round process. It may not be all the time year-round. For some it is, but just like jackpot shows, you get done, you start thinking about the changes that you're going to make for next year. A couple months after that, you start trying to find a judge, all these other things. This isn't something, it is time consuming all throughout the year. And it is all encompassing on the time consuming the month before. And I just don't think people remember that, know that. Because if they did, like you said, even if you had a really bad show and you saw lots of problems with how it was run or whatever, I'm not saying that you have to go up there and say them, but those are the minority. When the show is run well and things went smoothly, you should go up and thank somebody. I'm not saying you have to go to everybody. If you do, great. But you should go up there and thank somebody and say, hey, this was a great show. Y'all ran it well, whatever. We appreciate it. Because when that person hears that, they're going to tell everybody else that ran the show, because it doesn't happen often. So you just have to go to one.
It would be impressive. It would be great. And I think when Ryan threw this title or this topic out there, I know we had talked about it before, but I can reflect back on just life in general, that sometimes we get so caught up in the moment, whether it's calving season, kidding season, sales season, whatever it may be, we get so focused on our little world, and then we bounce from A to B and we don't think about, well, there's somebody putting a lot of time into just putting this show on. Good, bad, or indifferent, there's time that's been put into it. Some maybe more than others. But the fact that they're willing to step up and do it is a very, very good start. And Ryan, you'll blame this on just the, what do you call it? The Illinois State Fair, the toxicity of the Illinois State Fair. But I can think back to this year, and just in general, not necessarily the people that I was helping or were right around me, but just walking through the barns and so forth. There's people having a great time and so forth, but arguing and fighting over stall space, what pin you're going to get, who's going to put a fitting stand in this area. It's just a battle every year. You're out there days before trying to mark off your territory. Just not maybe the friendliest environment. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah. And
it can be better. And lots of, not just thanking the people that put on the show, but we just need to breathe.
I understand that not all environments are perfect and you're going to have bad shows. That's just part of it. And I'm not saying bad show management, but you as a family or as a person or whatever, there are going to be shows where it doesn't go your way and you're not happy. And that is part of it. But, this section or part of this topic, I really do want to stress to y'all that you've got to be more grateful, more patient, and kinder to those people that are running the shows. And again, I'm not saying that you have to go to everybody, but think the next time before you go complain. Is this something that really, really is this important that I'm going to go up here and bitch and moan and complain? And is it going to change anything? And it's probably not. And so at that point, why do it? I have no problem you going later, say, hey, this is what we think you could have done to make this better, etc. Send them an email, shoot them a Facebook message, all this other stuff. But in the heat of the moment, they have enough to worry about and enough to do. If what you are so fired up about at that point, if it's not going to change anything, just wait, let it go. Just let it go at that point. Be kinder, be nicer, and again, more appreciative, because we saw so quickly how fast these shows can go away. And of course, that was because of Rona and the pandemic, but we've got to be better at being grateful so the shows want to continue and want to get
better. And there are things out there that can stop this whole business just as quickly as Rona did. Oh, yeah. African swine fever. We talked about it a couple of years ago. Thank God it hasn't come to this country yet. I don't know if it will or when it will, but if it does, I promise you the show pig industry is going to be impacted immediately. If we have the USDA come in because of unethical practices, guess what? They can shut it down just as quickly as something like African swine fever. There's things that we're playing with on the fringes, some that we have control over, some that we don't. But this can go away. And I'll tell you what, we don't want this to go away. This is the best youth activity there is, period. And we've got to fight to keep it. And this is part of that, being kind to those that are putting the time in, showing some appreciation. I think a good indicator, Ryan, that these managers or the fair managers and the superintendents that reached out wanting more information on how can we assist in making these shows better in terms of drug testing or carcass evaluation. More times than not, the people behind the shows, they're doing it with the intent to do the best they possibly can. Some may not have a lot of experience. Some may have restrictions financial. There's a lot of things that come into play that may not allow it to be the absolute perfect show. But I guarantee you, they're not coming in saying, I want to put on a crappy show. They're coming into it trying to do their best. And again, we're saying show your appreciation in a friendly manner. Don't ever be afraid to reach out and help and give guidance or make suggestions that might make things better. Their intent is to make it the best they can. Your input can help with that. Your appreciation can help with that. Everything that we do is going to be taken in one manner or another. So let's foster it in a positive direction to keep all of this going.
And I think, I was so impressed and so happy that the number of people that reached out to me. Then again, these are show managers at state fair level up. That's like, what can we do? How can we do, all of these things? And I guess that's what kind of inspired this topic, because it just reassures me that the large majority of the people that are in those positions, they really do want it to be better. And they do want everyone to have a even and level and playing field and all of that. And then I think about how all of us are guilty, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, how we're just not appreciative enough of those people because they don't have, the large majority are volunteers. They don't have to be there. They don't have to do this.
Very, very clear. Well, I don't know how else to explain it other than to continue.
I have a whole nother portion. So.
No, this portion, continue to reiterate, just remember your feeling the first few months when we got to go, when you were shut down for a while, and then all of a sudden shows, right, wrong, or indifferent, chose to go ahead and start popping up. We really appreciated those shows. Get back to that mindset, that feeling. Go ahead.
So, and then the other thing that I want to touch on, we also forget that everybody is watching us. And so how we act and what we do, lots of people that you don't even think of are watching you and see that. And I guarantee you, every single person out there that's at a show, there is some little kid that looks up to you and wants to be like you. And so when we act up in the barn, and this isn't towards show managers or anything else, I am talking about getting into a fight with the neighbor over pins, the feed alley room, you name it, anything. Or again, I'm not a parent, never been a parent, never going to be a parent. And I know there are times.
Thank God.
Yeah, I made that decision myself, bitch. You shut up. Anyway.
That would be a terrible idea.
That's why I ain't going to be one. Next, moving on. And I know there are times when your children get out of line and need to be reprimanded and all this other stuff. I get it. Just remember, people are watching. And the attitude of people in the barn can be better. We don't have to yell at our kid from across the ring if the back foot isn't perfect. It's not going to probably get fixed with you jumping up and down and yelling. Again, because your feed bag got moved 2 inches to accommodate somebody else, is throwing a fit and blowing a gasket and getting into a shout and yelling match with another dad, is that going to fix anything? I don't think it is. And so if we just learn to be more tolerant and understand that not everything at that show is going to go perfectly. It's not. Probably more things are going to go wrong than go close to perfectly. But that's part of a show, and that's part of life. And when we feel the urge to probably say things or act a way that we shouldn't, like Dale's little topic a couple of weeks ago, just breathe, take a few breaths. I think that would improve the atmosphere of the show barns for everyone. And so I think that is an important part and piece to this as well, that we can all try to behave better and improve the standard of how we act at shows.
Ryan, I think not a justification, but an explanation of why parents, exhibitors, everybody that hauls into a show and is a part of a show family, getting that one ready to go into the show ring. And then once it's in the ring, I am that person that I have gotten way too excited when that you're talking about, that one left front foot was off an inch. I'm that person, and I'm trying to do better, but I'll be across the ring watching one of my kids show and something isn't quite right. And it's really eating at me. And again, it probably does not make a huge difference, but you always want everything to be perfect, as you stated, and it's just not going to be. But back to the explanation, not justification. As show families, the competitive show families, which most people are, there is so much monetary investment, search for that perfect show animal, breeding that perfect show animal, whatever direction you take, setting your pin up, getting the facilities in order, everything from what kind of bedding we're going to use, what feed we're going to use, what time we're going to feed, how much we're going to feed, when do we wash, when do we go to the cooler. There, it is so encompassing and so much time and so much effort that we've put all of that into it. We want to go to the show and we expect everything to be just a certain way. And when it's not, we're going to get a little irritated because we've put hundreds of hours and hundreds of dollars into this for a very short period of time when that child is in the ring. And once we get the show prior to going to the ring, we believe everything that happens is going to impact how we do in the ring. And it does to a certain degree in terms of management, but not the little things that you pointed out. But it's hard because we're so invested. And anytime we get that invested into it, we take it very personal. We become very emotional, and it's hard. And I'm the best example there is of it. I'm guilty.
Oh, again, we're going to be at State Fair this week, and I'm going to do my best to not be part of the problem and some of the solution, but I am human just like everybody else. And so, but I'm going to make a valiant effort and try. And I understand it because I am as big a sinner as anybody. That
you are one of the least tolerant people I know.
I realized that. And I said, I just admitted to that, sir.
Who are you going to? You have any families that you'll be hanging out with at State Fair? Any of them from Are any of them from Stevensville?
That is none of your business. Anyway,
just trying to help out.
Mm-hmm. I do think that we can make a conscious effort to be kinder to everyone at the show. Then that is going to go a long way. And again, it's kind of, what is that saying? Pay it forward or whatever. Like when you do it, then other people will do it. All this other stuff. It will help. It will catch on, and it will be
that is proven to help. It really does. It's contagious.
Yeah, and so that part of it, and then the only other little bit that I have on terms of this, and I have talked. We have had this as a topic before. We all, not me, all of us, me, you, the world, we have got to be better about, I'm not saying you have to be happy when you get beat, but don't be an ass. I say at county fairs a lot, put the shoe on the other foot. And what if that was your kid that had just won and was having their moment, and someone behind you is talking about what a shitty steer that is, or how that kid can't show, or the thousands of things that are said all the time. And not only if it's just said at the ring, or the people that throw a fit when somebody beat them or lost, or God forbid they go on social media and talk trash or whatever. Put the shoe on the other foot. What if that was your kid in their moment and someone was doing that to your kid? You would want to take their head off, and no one could blame you.
Not at all. Absolutely correct.
And we all want to win. We all want me the most. But it is okay that, and you have to understand, we're not going to win every show. We're not. Nobody is. It's a proven fact.
It is. And I want to comment on a point to that, because I had a show dad come up to me at Exarban and had a request for the podcast that I don't know that we'll get to, but I think it's worth mentioning. So there's only one winner in the market steer show, the breeding heifer show. There are very few winners. There's hundreds of people at the show and very few winners. Can we agree on that?
Yes, absolutely.
With that said, and we all want to win, just as you stated it, and the top in competitive families that are busting their butt want to win so bad, how do we still make it a positive experience for the show family, for the exhibitors? Not a more positive experience, even though we don't win.
I think that's a very valid question,
because we put so much pressure on that part, and I'm with it. I want to win, but in all reality, 99% of the people are not going to, and it still needs to be a good positive experience. I'm not saying anything about let's have participation trophy, nothing. I want it to be as competitive as we can possibly make it. But in that fight to win and in that drive to be competitive, we have to recognize all the benefits we're getting because we're trying to get to that spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I guess it depends on how you look at things. If you're going with the fact that only the grand champion, supreme champion, is the winner, then 99.99999% of us are going to be losers. I always wanted my families to go to each show with a goal. Most times it was win a breed champion. Some people it's make the sale, all these other stuff. So when you had and there was a lot of times that my goal and their goal was to win the whole damn show too. I'm not saying, but if you set other goals as well, like that one is elusive, the big one, the big banner, supreme overall. But if you set other goals and you reach them, then you are also a winner in a different way. And so I think that is something that more people should do. Because again, if you just look at it, whoever's the grand champion is the only winner, then we all suck at most shows.
That is exactly correct, Ryan. And one of the first things when I have somebody call me saying, hey, we want to look at, can you go through your sale goats in terms of what's going to succeed at a Texas major, at OIE or whatever, I will usually visit with them. Well, what is your goal? And let's kind of get goal oriented right now. Do you want to try to make a sales slot? Do you want to try to win a class or a division? Or are you just absolutely set you want to go as hard as you can to win the whole thing? And I have to give Texas credit, Ryan. The Texas show families, of all the families I work with across the country, there is no question that they, just like what you said, in the goat world and the market goat show, it's usually our goal is to make a sales slot. The next step up is to win a class. The next step is to get in a division drive. And then obviously there's those that want to win the whole thing. But it appears to me those families are more realistic and accepting of setting realistic goals than maybe a lot of families. And I'm not being negative to families outside of Texas, but more so complimenting them that this is what they're doing. And there's plenty of families elsewhere that do the same, but I see a higher percentage of the Texas families that they just, that those things have been, I think maybe because the majors have been in place for so long, the sales slots have been
we
there.
have more opportunities.
Yeah. There. And because of that, it's really fostered a goal-oriented environment.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, our State Fair of Texas started this past weekend. I can't tell you the number of posts that I've seen on social media. We got the brand, or Johnny made the sale, Third and South Downs, all that other stuff. And those people felt like they won.
And that was their goal. That was right. What they wanted.
Those people are excited. They are ecstatic. They felt like they won. And so, again,
I had 2 texts come in this morning, pictures of our goats with sale brands, and those families, that their thank you so much, because that was their goal. That is what they wanted their young person or that exhibitor to get to at some point. And when they make it, it's exciting.
Exactly. And so, if we did more of that, if we did have more goals than just being the absolute grand poobah supreme champion, I think we would feel more like winners. But regardless, every goal is not going to be accomplished. And again, I am not telling you that you have to be happy that you lost, but you can be happy that somebody else accomplished what they wanted to. That doesn't take anything from you. It really doesn't. And I put several times on Facebook or stuff like that just recently. There was one that said, some people are never going to clap for you win anyway. You know what? That's true. And I want you to win. But I also think that there's nothing wrong for clapping for the people when you don't win, or going up and telling that kid, congratulations, good job, all of those things. And I'm telling you, that does not happen enough. Most time it's the people in the back bitching. He cheated, it's politics, whatever, 900 million things. They don't ever just go up and congratulate. And it just takes one word, congratulations. That's all it takes.
Yep, but that makes a difference.
but it's very, very few times does that happen. And I think, that is part of it. The environment and everything that goes into this environment. I'm just telling you, it affects everybody in the barn at the show. If we were all happier, more tolerant, positive people, we would bitch less at management. We would yell less at our neighbor across the aisle, our kid, etc. And I'm not Mary Poppins, or anything like that. But I think there's some validity to this.
What are you talking about, Mary Poppins?
I'm just saying I'm not Mary Poppins, that I'm going to, the happiest person in the barn when I'm showing or whatever, and rainbows and butterflies.
You want to know when I hear Mary Poppins, you know who I think of?
What?
That crazy social media regulator person.
Oh my God. I'm talking about the damn movie, you moron.
Got it. I was talking about Biden's appointee
sweet
to
Jesus of Christ.
To the social media truth.
I give up
censor.
with you. I give up with you.
You should. You should.
I can't anymore. So anyway, that's it for me.
Mary Poppins, really.
That is my whatever. And again, everything starts with an individual person. So I'm going to do my best. And I hope some of this resonates with some of y'all. And again, to the show managers and the volunteers at shows, I will say from me, thank you, because I know you have a thankless job.
Yes, thank you. And for those exhibitors, and I really enjoyed visiting with many of them at Exarban. When you see me at a show and you think I'm getting a little tense,
why the hell would anybody want to visit with you?
I don't know. But I'm encouraging them to come up to me and tell me just to breathe. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I need that sometimes. And Ryan, I forgot a sponsor.
Who?
Well, that would be Chase and Dale's Dingo Breeding Project.
Oh, sweet mother. They are not a sponsor.
Well, we just didn't know who to write the check out to, but who do you suggest we do that with?
Yeah, me. BTRJLA. That's who you make it out to. And it better have lots of zeros behind it.
So Chase and I do have a Australian
you are really
dingo.
going to do this shit,
Yes,
aren't you?
we have to do this. I promised Chase I would do this.
Chase,
my daughter,
you're a terrible human being. I'm telling you right now.
My daughter, Katie, was not in favor of this, but her border collie is now in our... Chase and I did have a plan that we were going to use that dog, but Katie had not officially signed off on it when it happened. But we did do an ultrasound.
She did not sign off of it. She said no.
I don't remember what it is, but we will have dingo
sweet.
hybrid border collie puppies. We haven't come up with the name of this breed, but they're going to be the most intelligent creatures on the planet. It'll be good. Ryan, would you like on the waiting list?
No. I do not want
You would be a good pet owner.
No, I'm never home. No.
What about a family member?
Nope.
Daddy James?
Nope. No one in Crockett, Texas on my estate needs another animal's mouth to feed. We have plenty. No.
It's not happening.
No.
Well, do you have a sponsor for question and answer?
I do. Basic Animal Health is proud to present the question and answer portion of the Beyond the Ring podcast. Basic Animal Health is dedicated to providing natural solutions for your animal's needs. They currently offer 3 products: Gut Health, Show Focus, and Trailer Ride. Anytime you go to www.basicanimalhealth.com, purchase one of those products. If you will use the code at checkout, BTRJLA, we will get a portion of the profits of those products. So thank you, Basic Animal Health.
Excellent. And thank you. The first question, Ryan, I do not have who submitted the question, but love this one because it came in, I think, a text. I had to take a picture of it. Love the podcast. Everything about it, from current events to the topics. We listen in the car and in the tractor all the time. Just curious, do you think Trump would choose Kristi Noem as a running mate?
I think Trump has to choose a woman. I think she is on the short list. From what I know of her policies and her being interviewed, seeing her interviews, I think she seems intelligent, knowledgeable, all of those things. South Dakota is going to vote Republican anyway. So I don't know if she does much other than bring a good conservative opinion, back up, all those things. I think she would be a staunch supporter of Trump if she was the vice president. again, we talked about this double standard earlier. I have issues, and ladies, y'all can send me hate mail, but I'm just going to tell you, I think a bunch of you won't like her because she's too pretty. I'm just laying it out there. In general, ladies don't like other ladies that are very, very attractive and have power or whatever like that. So that is my concern, is what does she bring to the table other than I think she would be a great backup and a staunch conservative to Trump.
I think that's exactly right. Because she's not bringing more votes from her state, or it isn't going to help on the night we're counting votes. From a standpoint, she's not delivering a state to Trump that he doesn't already have. I don't know if there is that person out there, but that is very common that will bring that running mate in that can capture a very important state. And South Dakota is already in Trump's camp or the Republican camp. That's going to happen. So I think you're dead right. I like her. I just don't know if she brings enough to the table when you're looking at it from a electoral vote standpoint.
Agreed.
That is my guess. The next question, if I can find it here. This one comes from Sarah. I love the podcast, and my favorite day of the week is Friday to listen to you guys on my way to work, but I show hogs and used to show cattle years ago. I've heard you guys talk about the twine on cattle before, and I just don't quite understand what that means. Could you explain how people use it and why?
I don't know what all it's referred to, but I call it twining, because normally it is baling twine that has been chopped up very, very fine and used as to put on legs to make it appear like animals are bigger boned and stouter. That is what twining is. They take it and they spray adhesive on the actual leg hair, and they throw this twine on it and sculpt it and mold it and all this other stuff. And 85% of the time, it looks like shit.
It does, and you can maybe clarify this. I think the term twining is a very generic term now, as there used to be a lot of twine used. Now I think horse mane, other hair, other.
Oh, well,
other
they
things.
use horse hair for flanks and tail heads and all kinds of stuff. But when it started, and it's still the primary thing in cattle still is baling twine is what you use. But that's why we call it twining. But it is what it is a better definition is using a fake or additional hair substance added on to a portion of the livestock's body to make it appear leveler, bigger, all the things.
Kind of like hair extension in humans, but just
Yes.
glued in.
Yep.
Not weaved in.
Yep.
Excellent. I believe I have another one, Ryan. We've already had two, right?
Oh, in case y'all are listening, this is going to be the 5,762nd time I have said, if you are not perfect, if you are not God at twining, then don't bring that shit to me, because I'm going to call you out every single time. I'm going to say I don't like that. I'm not going to say shit on the mic, but I'm going to say I don't like that fake stuff on the back of its leg. It's not fooling me, and it is not doing you any good. I just did it 2 shows ago, and the goats still won. But I told them, and they took it off. So there you go.
Before the Grand Drive?
After class, before division. Like, they couldn't get it off fast enough.
Great. You didn't hold back is what you're saying in the microphone.
No, and I'm not. I'm going to continue every single time. There are very few times that I have seen it, and it has been done well. And if it has been done well, I am not going to say anything. I'll probably even compliment you, because it's probably not going to happen. But when it's bad and it looks like shit, I'm going to call it out.
I love it. I love it. Jonathan has our last question. Thank you for the podcast.
You're welcome. It was all my idea.
I have heard you guys talk about overaging cattle, I believe, in one of your episodes. What I would like to know, as a show family that is purchasing animals that we assume are the correct age and getting beat by much larger animals on a regular basis, what can we do to fix the problem?
There's nothing you can do to fix the problem. And again, I have said this before. We have had topics on this. Until we quit showing breeding animals by age, there's always going to be backdating, overaging, all this other stuff. It just is what it is. You can't change it. You can't fix it until you take that component out of it. In the same breath, that component is never going to be taken out of it, in my honest opinion. I applaud the hogs. They have made some changes. I applaud their efforts. I think that is a great way to start. But until we quit showing them by age, the majority, I'll say it, the majority are going to overage those animals. So there is no fixing it. I will also say, in the end, it all balances out. Because while those animals are younger, they have a growth advantage. They have a maturity advantage, all that other stuff. And sometimes it affects the placing. Towards the end of their show career, they're old, they're fat, they're stale, and they're too mature, and they're going to get beat just as much or more than they won when they were young. Thank you. The end.
So you mentioned the hog thing, and I remember we talked to Matt Clays a little bit about it. I can use both, and I don't think there's a solution, but I think we can make it a little better by, okay, let's take all of our spring calves or whatever division it is, and maybe weigh them within that division. So you have your age to put them into a certain category, then a weight within that
is why I complimented the hog people.
And again, not perfect, but I think
it's better.
I think from a mental standpoint, those that are in the heaviest class of that age, there's a little bit of doubt in the judge's mind that, are these the right age? And those that are in the lighter classes are actually getting up and maybe able to win a class when normally they wouldn't be able to with the big ones in there. So I don't know if there's a fix, but we need to continue to think about different things and try to implement things and see how they work.
And I want to bring this up. So, we talked last week about what I was going to do the next time that I'm judging a show and I feel one's aired or I feel lumps where there shouldn't be lumps and all this other stuff. I said, well,
and did you since last week?
I haven't judged a show yet.
Got it. Roswell, watch out.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What are they saying? Yes. But I had several people comment or say something about, well, everybody should do the same with overaged animals. Okay, so to you people, I just want to let you know, while there are times when I think one might be overaged, those normally don't win under me because they're not my kind. I don't care how big or massive or stout or all those things are. I like exceptionally well-built, fresh, good-looking animals of all species. So those normally don't win under me anyway. But I am going to defend all judges here. Yes, there is a huge difference in handling an animal and feeling air bubbles or knots on a loin and things like that than it is going, you know what? Maybe that one might be a little older than what they think. When you handle it, you will know it is there. I cannot, for a shadow of a doubt, tell you the age of that animal. I am not the carny that guesses weight or age at the carnival. That is not me. And no one can. I don't care how smart you are. You cannot do it. And so that is why more people don't, and I think it's perfectly fine. There are, whether you want to believe it or not, there are actually correct age animals that are just high performing. There are actually correct aged animals that look more mature. It's the same way in humans, folks. So there you go. Get off my ass.
While you were talking about that, I came up with what I think is maybe the closest to a solution. We talked about you or me or another judge when we know there's some unethical practice being done, just beat them when you're absolutely sure. And I think that's right. And I've talked about in the market arena, particularly lambs and goats, you could apply to the other species as well. But we don't have to have the freakiest, wildest, widest, heaviest muscled. Let's get to that window of here's a heavy muscled animal that has plenty. Now let's sort on quality. Well, in our breeding ring, instead of weighing the damn things, like sometimes we are taught to do in judging contests, or some judges do out in the ring, just sort them on quality. Essentially what you're talking about, Ryan. If we just sort them on quality, does that overaging help anything?
No, it doesn't.
So if the judges would sort on quality, would that not maybe fix the problem?
It wouldn't be a complete fix, but yes, it would do a lot to help. Yes.
It's very simple. Don't use the wildest, most blown up lamb ass. Don't use the most mature, heaviest animal just because she's heavy and big and appears to have more performance. Sort on quality, sort on the things that we can attribute as being absolute positive, not manufactured, not misled in terms of age. Very simple.
There you go.
Are you excited about going to Stevensville now?
For the love of God, shut up and say something.
With that, thank you for listening. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?